Hi everyone, Dr. Bruce here. In this video, I'm going to go through the endocrine system. Now, the endocrine system is a large system, so it may take more than one video to get through the whole system, but we'll at least get through part of it in this video. So first of all, what is the endocrine system? The endocrine system is a series of glands that secrete hormones that travel in the blood to target tissues. So it's important to know that hormones travel in the blood. Those are endocrine substances, as opposed to other substances that travel in ducts. Those are exocrine substances. The endocrine glands include all of these glands: the hypothalamus, pituitary, thymus, thyroid, pancreas, ovaries, testes, the pineal gland, and the adrenals. Let's start with the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. Remember where the pituitary gland is located. It's located in the sphenoid bone. It sits in that sella turcica of the sphenoid bone and connects to the hypothalamus via a stalk called the infundibulum. So the pituitary is broken up into two portions. There's an anterior pituitary and a posterior pituitary, and they both have different connections to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus connects to the anterior pituitary via a blood vessel network called the hypophyseal portal system, which means that the hypothalamus will control the secretions of the anterior pituitary. So there's a two-step process here. Number one, the hypothalamus secretes releasing hormones that travel via the blood vessel network and control the secretions of the anterior pituitary. Number two, then, the anterior pituitary responds to the secretions of the hypothalamus and then secretes its hormones. So let's take a look at some of these hormones. Let's start with growth hormone. So growth hormone is secreted by the anterior pituitary in response to two releasing factors secreted by the hypothalamus. One is called growth hormone releasing hormone, and I put a little plus there because it has a positive effect on the secretion of growth hormone by the anterior pituitary. The other one is somatostatin. This one has a little negative sign because it inhibits the secretion of growth hormone. So what does growth hormone do? So in a nutshell, growth hormone promotes metabolism, tissue growth, mitosis, and directly affects the ossification centers in bone. Remember, you have your primary and secondary ossification centers. Those are directly affected by growth hormone. Let's look at another one. Let's look at ACTH, or adrenal corticotropic hormone. This one is secreted in response to one releasing factor called corticotropin releasing hormone. Since there's only one releasing factor secreted by the hypothalamus, it has a little plus sign, so it's going to promote the secretion of ACTH. Adrenal corticotropic hormone, or ACTH, tells you where it goes. If you look at the word adreno, that means it goes to the adrenal gland, and cortico, it means it goes to the adrenal cortex. The adrenal cortex then secretes a couple of hormones that are important. One is cortisol. Cortisol helps to regulate blood glucose. So what it does, cortisol will promote the conversion of non-carbohydrate sources to glucose, such as fats and proteins. A good example of this is, say you get up in the morning and you eat like a sugary cereal or a donut or something, and you're full of glucose, so you have lots of energy. A couple hours later, all that glucose is used up, and you run out of glucose and you start to bottom out. So what happens, cortisol levels will rise, and cortisol will promote the conversion of non-carbohydrate sources like fats and proteins into glucose because your brain needs a constant supply of glucose. Aldosterone is another important hormone that is secreted in response to ACTH. Aldosterone targets the kidneys and promotes sodium reabsorption. When you retain sodium, you also retain fluid that helps to increase blood pressure. Let's look at thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH. TSH is secreted by the anterior pituitary in response to thyrotropin releasing hormone. Since there's only one releasing hormone, there's a plus here. So thyrotropin releasing hormone promotes the secretion of TSH by the anterior pituitary. TSH, of course, travels to the thyroid gland, is picked up by the thyroid, and promotes the secretion of two hormones, T3 triiodothyronine and T4 or tetraiodothyronine. Both T3 and T4 promote cell metabolism and growth and affects the ossification centers as well. So you increase your metabolism with more T3 and T4, so you burn more calories, and then metabolism decreases with the decrease in T3 and T4. You don't tend to burn calories, you store calories. Of the two, T3 is more active than T4, and a lot of the T4 is converted into T3. T4 is also known as thyroxine. There's a negative feedback that occurs. TSH secreted by the anterior pituitary causes those secretions of T3 and T4. They feed back negatively, which inhibits TRH and TSH and keeps everything at the proper levels. All right, let's look at the sex hormones. There's gonadotropin-releasing hormone secreted by the hypothalamus. Since, again, there's only one releasing factor, this has a plus by it, so it promotes the release of follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So FSH and LH have different roles in females and males. In females, FSH promotes follicle development and the secretion of estrogen. In males, it stimulates production of sperm cells. Luteinizing hormones in females promotes ovulation. In males, it stimulates the Leydig cells in the testes to produce testosterone. Let's see if we can squeeze in the posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary has a different connection to the hypothalamus. They contain these neurosecretory cells where the cell body is in the hypothalamus, but then the process extends all the way to the posterior pituitary where the hormone is released. So the hormones are made in the hypothalamus but released in the posterior pituitary. There are two important hormones here. One is ADH, or antidiuretic hormone. It pretty much tells you what it does. It's going to target the kidneys. So a diuretic would cause you to lose fluid volume, but ADH is an antidiuretic, so causes you to conserve fluid. Oxytocin has different roles in males and females. In females, it stimulates uterine contractions during childbirth and then milk production. And in males, it plays a role in ejaculation and smooth muscle contraction. All right, hopefully you've learned something with regard to some of the endocrine hormones. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.